I was standing in the kitchen when she said it. Not shouting, not angry, just tired. Stop begging for intimacy. The words landed softly. That's what made them lethal. Her phone was face down on the counter, vibrating once, then again. She didn't look at it. She didn't need to. I watched the small muscle in her jaw tighten, the tell she never knew she had. I said nothing. Silence has always been my first weapon. She rinsed her cup, slow and deliberate. Like this was a conversation she'd rehearsed. Like she'd already decided who I was in this story. Needy, pathetic, an inconvenience. I felt something inside me tilt, not break, a line. I realized in that moment that I wasn't begging for intimacy. I was interrupting it. She had been distant for months. Not cruel. That would have been easier. Just selective. Warm when it suited her. Absent when it didn't. A hand withdrawn. A glance redirected. Nights where she turned her back and slept like a locked door. I told myself it was stress, work, life, time. That's what faithful men do. But there were details that didn't fit. A new attention to her appearance. Passwords changed without explanation. Her laughter, lighter now, practiced, used elsewhere before it reached me. When I reached for her, she sighed. When I stopped, she relaxed. That was the first real wound. I replayed the sentence in my head for days. Stop begging, as if desire expressed within a marriage was a crime. As if I'd violated a boundary I didn't know existed until it was enforced. I didn't argue. I didn't ask who taught her to say that. I started watching. I became invisible on purpose. I smiled when she spoke. I listened without responding. I stopped touching her altogether. No good nights. No accidental brushes. No reaching across the bed. She didn't notice at first. That hurt more than I expected. I memorized patterns, her new schedule, the way she angled her phone away from me, the nights she showered before leaving the house instead of after returning. I checked records quietly, phone logs, shared accounts, gaps where there shouldn't have been any. I never checked her messages. I didn't need to. Truth leaks through behavior long before it shows up in text. Still, I wanted precision. I ordered the report and had it sent to my office. Not the house. Never the house. I wanted the truth delivered to a place where I was already composed. When it arrived, I didn't open it right away. I made coffee, answered emails, breathed. Control isn't the absence of emotion. It's choosing when to let it speak. The report was thin, efficient, brutal. 3 months. Recurring contact. Hotel confirmations that overlapped with my late nights. There it was, clean, documented, indisputable. I felt calm. Not relief, not rage. Clarity. That night I cooked dinner. Her favorite. She looked surprised, pleased even. Like the world was snapping back into place. I set the folder on the table between us after we ate. She stared at it, confused, then afraid. "What's this?" she asked. I set the folder on the table between us after we ate. She stared at it, confused, then afraid. "What's this?" she asked. I watched her hands. They trembled before she realized they were doing it. "You tell me," I said. She opened it. Skimmed. Color drained from her face in stages. "No," she whispered. "You don't understand." I nodded once. "I do." That was all. She cried then, hard, loud, apologetic. She reached for me out of instinct, like I was still the man who absorbed her guilt to keep the peace. I stepped back. The distance felt ceremonial. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't ask questions. I told her I already knew the answers. I told her the most painful part wasn't the sex. It was the contempt. You don't tell someone to stop begging unless you've already given what they're asking for to someone else, and resent them for noticing the absence. She tried to explain. Loneliness, feeling unseen, the usual script. I let her finish. Then I said the only thing that mattered. I'm done. Her face collapsed, not because she loved me, but because she'd miscalculated. She thought I would negotiate, beg again, try to earn back what was never mine to lose. I packed that night, not in a rush, not dramatically. I folded my clothes with care, took only what I needed, left everything else untouched like evidence at a crime scene. At the door, she said my name. For the first time in months, she sounded desperate. I paused, not because I was tempted, because I wanted her to remember the moment hope died. I don't hate her. Hate is attachment. What I feel now is cleaner. I learned something valuable, that intimacy withheld is a form of power, and the one who stops asking for it first is the one who wins. She wanted me small, ashamed, grateful for scraps. Instead, I walked away with the truth in my hands and silence on my side. The last message she sent went unanswered. I wasn't begging anymore. I was gone.